It is an excellent day to just show up. Hi, everyone. Yvonne Heath here, nurse turned author, speaker, and changemaker, and your host. Welcome to Navigating Grief with Heart and Humor, where we talk about, plan, and prepare for grief, transitions, and end of life, and all the messiness in between, long before it arrives, and diffuse the fear so we can live fully now. Or that is what we aspire to do. It is an ongoing process of evolving, learning, unlearning, and doing it better next time. Most often, we've been in the deep trenches of grief, crisis, challenges, and realized how ill-prepared we were. And now we are choosing to be more proactive instead of reactive. And we want to teach by example and be the very best version of ourselves that we can be. Most of the time, anyway. So as always, before I start, I like to just take 2 slow, deep breaths so that I can just quiet the noise in my head, forget about everything else that is calling me away. And I invite you to set an intention for our time together, and also create your own ritual of just grounding yourself, being present, and just really making this time about you and what you need at this moment. So feel free to join me. I'm going to take 2 slow, deep breaths, inhaling through my nose, exhaling through my mouth. That just always feels so good. When I have more time, I do more minutes, I take more time, and sometimes I just have a few seconds or a minute, and whatever time you have to just quiet the noise, I promise you, it can make a difference. We undervalue that that pause, that taking that time, that breath, and the world of difference it can make for us. So let's get started. As always, I want to start with a fun fact, and I always just, make myself laugh because I think, okay, well, what's another silly fun fact about my life? In all of these decades, I certainly have many to choose from. And I was just thinking of the pandemic, COVID-19, has everybody heard of that? Started February 2020. Yes, of course, we've all heard of it, and people are tired of thinking about it. And if you're watching this as a replay and it's years later, it's like, oh yeah, that pandemic. I don't think we're going to forget about it. But one of the things, when you have hair this short, it requires quite a few haircuts. As soon as it starts to touch your ears, it's like, oh my gosh, I need a haircut. It's driving me crazy. When you have long locks, it just sort of, it can get longer and longer, and it's okay to not be able to get to your hairdresser. Well, that doesn't work with hair like this. So I was kind of in a panic because I couldn't get to the hairdresser in COVID and the pandemic, and people were shut down, and you had to wait for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. So one day I got out my husband's clippers and I said, come on to the garage and help me trim my hair. And I was absolutely terrified. I'd never let him do that before. And guess what? After that one time, because I thought, well, my hair's only an inch long, it'll grow back. And I've been doing my own ever since, in the garage every 4 weeks. And, sometimes it looks a little crazy, but I love it because it's free. And sorry, hairdressers, I know it's much better to go to the hairdresser. I don't recommend this for everyone. But yes, it's very forgiving because, like I said, my hair is really short. So I know if I go zzz, and it's a little too short, in 2 weeks, it's going to be long again. So I've been clipping my own hair ever since. There's my fun fact for today. And of course, after I went, COVID gray, this is just like, all I need is a little product, a little spray, and I'm good to go. Oh my goodness. I would have never imagined doing this, clipping my hair and going gray all the way. But you know what? Kind of like being a silver-haired fox. So let's begin with, speaking of COVID, and my topic today was grief in illness, because guess what? Here I am right now as we speak. I have COVID, and so does my lovely husband, Jordy. And I'm kind of laughing because he's much younger than me, but I'm handling it much better. I think he's very achy and in bed. And you know what? It has not been fun, and I am achy, and I just had a really, just my head just kind of feels like it's swimming head and body aches. Right now, I'm able to have this conversation because I have Tylenol and Advil on board. Thank you to those drugs. I'm sorry, but I am not for the aches and pains. I am going to take something. And so it really is Band-Aid medicine for right now, and that's okay. Sometimes that's what you need to get through the day. And so whenever I have, an illness that stops me in my tracks, and I've had some health challenges, more health challenges in the last 5 years than I think I have in my whole entire life put together. It's incredible. Just different things that had never crept up before were not welcome, let me tell you. And with each, whether it's a serious illness or diagnosis or something that just you have to accept and change certain things. There's grief in that. There is grief in that. I was prided myself on not having to take any medications, and now there's a few I have to take, and it's every day. So, you have to think about that every day. And I had to adjust my diet, and I had to do certain things. And so now with, this COVID visiting our home, completely unwelcome, of course, I'm pausing and I'm reflecting. And one of the things that I realized is that sometimes when someone has an illness, whether it's a cold or the flu or something that isn't serious, we tend to compare or say, oh, well, at least it's not cancer. At least you're going to get better. At least. And here's the thing. Right now in this moment, when you're kind of achy and sucky, and there's certain things that I wanted to do that I'm not able to, and I'm not going to leave the house because I don't want to share this with anyone. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that right now. I can say it, but we tend to, of course, want to fix things for people, right? And we want to sugarcoat, and so I would encourage you, and I'm encouraging myself just in thinking about this, because we do it to ourselves as well, right? Oh, well, at least it's not this and this. And yet I'm going to just say, you know what? Wow. Yeah, I'm going to acknowledge and allow my feelings. I'm kind of grieving some things I had to cancel. No, my life isn't falling apart. I will get better. Yes, I'm going to get better and feel good again, and I can't wait. But in this moment, I can say, yeah, this is really disappointing. And I don't want to feel this way. And so that it's that reminder to just acknowledge and allow my feelings, and know that for whatever reason COVID has arrived today, it's that tremendous reminder that my very number one priority is to take care of me. And I don't always know exactly what I need, but I'll stop, just sort of pause and reflect and say, what do I need right now? Or what do I need? What is going to help me feel better? Not ignore how my feelings about how I'm feeling. I will allow those feelings, have a little pity party. And then what can I do to help myself feel better? So of course I got dressed up, I did my hair, had a shower, I painted my toenails, a very vibrant color. I just felt like doing that. And I like my house to be nice and clean. Whenever I don't feel well, I just like everything to just feel like I'm getting rid of all the bacteria and dust and everything in the house. And so I'm puttering along at that. And also, whenever I feel like resting, I am going to rest. And so, again, in that pause, it's like, yeah, I'm not going to compare. I'm going to acknowledge and allow my feelings. And yeah, focus on what I can do, to feel better and not resist it. I really do. I am not someone who does illness well. In the past, I would just, pretend it away. No, I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to take very good care of me. The other thing that I always just stop and reflect when, illness or not feeling well, it slows you down, right? And the other thing that I was reminded of is we all know people who have maybe a chronic illness, a long-term illness, cancer, or they're taking care of someone with such an illness. And I think sometimes we get so used to that person having, whatever, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, dementia, as I mentioned, cancer, or even asthma or other breathing issues, whatever they may be. And I just know I've had so many patients, Crohn's or colitis, and they have these illnesses for life. And it reminds me that just because they are carrying it doesn't mean it's not heavy. And I think we get used to, oh yeah, they have this illness, and we might stop asking about it because it's a long-term illness, right? And it reminds me, and I remind you to check in with people, even if they seem to be doing well with their illness. I think with most chronic illnesses, I have to believe it's a roller coaster, right? Sometimes you just feel you're handling it well and everything's okay. And then other times you're dipping down and saying, oh, this is hard. Like I remember this little lady with rheumatoid arthritis, and her little fingers were all like this. And she was a pistol. Nothing was going to stop her. And yet I know sometimes her pain was unbearable. And she has this disease and it's for life. And so I think that, again, when we get used to hearing about someone's illness, and I think we sometimes forget. So maybe I would invite you to just reflect on someone you might know that has a long-term chronic illness, and maybe just check in with them. Because again, they are living with this forever. That doesn't mean that there are times when it isn't very, very challenging, especially when the other grief of life arrives, or the challenges, right? Because just because you have an illness, it doesn't give you the get out of other grief card for life. All the other things are still going to happen. You're still going to grieve the death of loved ones or pets or whatever other challenge. They need some extra TLC and checking in, and that just reminds me that I want to check in with a friend whose husband has Alzheimer's, and he is actually placed in a nursing home, and he is in his 50s. It was early onset dementia. And this has been going on for years now. And so, people might, oh yeah, that's right. How are things going? And it doesn't mean there aren't really dark times. And that's what, when I'm feeling ill, that it reminds me of those things. And certainly my third point is, wow, when I am feeling like this, I will tell you, there's that tremendous reminder, gratitude, to be so grateful and not take our good health for granted. You know, life is amazing when you don't have a toothache. Life is amazing when you do not feel achy. And it is something that I think sometimes we all forget about because, you know, you're just puttering along, going along with your life and your day. And you might not remember, right? Remember when my back was out and I couldn't get up. Remember when I had that surgery and it was so painful to go through that rehabilitation, or when I had COVID and I was achy from head to toe. That if we can just be grateful every single day for our good health. And if we do have health challenges that we deal with, acknowledge and allow those feelings and also be grateful for what is good about your health. I will tell you that I just think of all the gifts I have. You know, I can see, hear, taste, talk, walk, hug people, and so many other things. I can eat and enjoy my food. And I am so grateful. As I've said before, these bodies were only issued one in this lifetime, and some have more quirks and flaws than others. If we can take the very best care of our bodies that we can, and if we can be so grateful and love on ourselves so that we can live our lives as fully as possible, and just know that no matter what, there is something to be grateful for. Right now, I'm grateful that I'm able to have this conversation. I'm grateful that there's medicine to help me feel a little less achy, that I had the energy to get dressed and put some makeup on and feel a little better. There's always something to be grateful for in no matter what you are going through. So I am even grateful for this reminder of how fortunate I am that most of the time I feel a lot better than I do right now. Oh my goodness. I would just love to hear any thoughts you have, anything that you have been through that that reminds you that life is good when you feel well, and acknowledge your grief and your illness, and then get back to creating a life you love and loving the life you have. So thank you for spending this time with me. I am going to make this short today because I'm going to go take some very good care of myself. I think I'll put on some comfies and maybe watch a movie and eat whatever I feel like eating. And you know, you are always welcome to connect with me and have a look at my website, loveyourlifetodeath.com, and feel free to just connect with me anytime. I always am open. My heart is open. I want to hear your stories and continue to support and love you and learn from you along the way. So thanks again. And until we speak, my call to action is always plan your life, plan your death, and then just love your life to death. And always bring your own tambourine to the party. Thanks so much. We'll see you next week, and I'm going to feel much better then. Thanks, everyone. Bye for now.